transgender, was a tranny. Come on, let's be honest about this.
That's disrespectful.
I really don't care because there are a lot of trannies out there that want me dead because I'm a rape victim who wants privacy in the bathroom. The trannies can F off. I don't care. They want to kill me and they're not going to.
How would you like it if someone called you out of your name? If they called you a B word or any of that, how would you feel?
These people are calling me a cunt and all these awful names online. Are you kidding me? Come on. They are the most egregious, most violent people on earth. They are mentally ill and should be in a straitjacket with a hard steel lock on it.
Has been able to receive out of people who have defamed him. YouTube, 25 million. Meta, 25 million. X, 10 million. 16 million out of CBS. And 16 million out of ABC News and Disney. So he's not giving up on it. And I think he's doing a service to the country when he does this. I don't think it's just about him. He's saying the media, and he said this since the beginning with fake news, right? That's
the House Democrats just exposed Trump for being with an underage Epstein victim for hours, except they lied to you. They redacted the girl's name because it would blow up their entire story. The alleged victim, Virginia Giuffre, was crystal clear in her deposition as well in her own self-written memoir that President Trump did nothing wrong, was actually very friendly to her. Did you see Trump and Epstein together? No. Did he flirt with you? No. And so on. These Democrats have no integrity, they are evil, and they have learned nothing from what their rhetoric did to Charlie Kirk.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Stinchfield. I'd like to issue a warning tonight. The Democrats are trying to distract you. What are they trying to distract you with? Well, of course, the Epstein files and all of these emails. They release a few. The Republicans say, no, we won't just release a few. We'll release all of them. And then you get to comb through them. And the Democrats go crazy over this when these emails prove nothing. In fact, in many respects, I've gone through a lot of these emails. I think it vindicates President Trump and any ties he may have had to Epstein, that there was no wrongdoing there at all. See, what the Democrats did the day after President Trump and the Republicans ended the shutdown is the Democrats want to turn to Epstein to distract you from the real truth, that the Democrats are imploding. They are a party filled with radicals that is engaging in the behavior of saboteurs of America. There isn't anything to see in the Epstein files, and if anything, it proves to me that President Trump is innocent of everything, just as we had always expected. Here's Caroline Levin.
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep.
You hear that one little part there about how President Trump kicked Epstein out? If you want to take innuendo from these Epstein emails, I actually think there's a chance President Trump actually was the whistleblower to the FBI. President Trump may have helped the FBI go after Jeffrey Epstein, but that's not the narrative that the mainstream media wants you to know, that President Trump would be a hero in all of this. That's the innuendo that I take away from it all.
Democrats must recognize that Zohran Mamdani is the future of the party. Unfortunately, it's the Republican Party. We've run this experiment many times, and the results are always obvious. Here's capitalist South Korea at night from space. Here's socialist North Korea. Yeah. In 1990, Venezuela was wealthier than Poland. But then Poland, finally free of Soviet-style economics, went all in on capitalism. And now their economy is as big as Japan. And people there have high wages, low inflation, cars, vacations, homes. Meanwhile, Venezuela traded capitalism for Hugo Chavez's socialism for the 21st century, which turned out to be like socialism in the last century, or any century, a fucking mess. It turned one of Latin America's richest countries into one of its poorest. Low wages, high inflation, shortages, outages, 8 million people fleeing. If you think New York can somehow reinvent this wheel, you're in for a rude awakening.
I haven't heard anybody in my party saying that illegal immigrants should get access to the health insurance marketplace.
I'm so glad you said that. Actually, I have some tape of your Democratic Party members saying this on the debate stage. So they've all said it. Let's play the clip.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants. Okay.
Senator, that's literally every member of your party.
Ted Cruz, who's a big MAGA guy. Ted Cruz, of course, ran against Trump in 2016, but Ted Cruz was a sitting senator from Texas for the entire Biden administration, where they sent over 12 million people into his state illegally over the border. Now, if Ted Cruz had held like a press conference every week and said to the governor of his state, Greg Abbott, I'm the senator from Texas. Our state's being invaded. It's an entry point for the country. This is destroying Texas and America. Mobilize the National Guard today and seal that border. And if that precipitates a conflict with the federal government, so be it. This is illegal, it's immoral, and it's going to wreck this country. National Guard exists for a reason. Use it now. If he'd done that, that would have happened, but he didn't. Because he was busy serving his masters in another country, which is not our country. And that is true not just of Ted Cruz, who's the most kind of pathetic, craven example, but of so many Republican politicians. They didn't want closed borders because their donors didn't want closed borders. Of course, they were all in on the war on terror, and they refused even to look backwards and assess whether or not what they had advocated for had succeeded. They were all in on the Iraq war, like I was. But the difference is they refused to admit that they were wrong. And millions of people died as a result of that, of their being wrong. And our treasury was emptied, and the U.S. dollar devalued completely to the point where gold is over 4,000 today. Why is that? Maybe because we spent like $6 trillion on the war on terror, got nothing out of it. We sent pallets of cash to warlords in various countries. What do we get out of that? Nothing. We armed the Taliban. What do we get out of that? Nothing. The whole thing was insane. If you can't say that was bad, if you can't say I'm sorry for supporting that, you're a deeply corrupt person. And Trump called them out and they hated him for it. As to globalization, they benefited from it. Of course, they're tools of the finance class. Of course, every one of them. They had no real interest in ending that. And on free speech, perhaps most shamefully of all, the Republican Party's core institutions, its publications, National Review, the New York Post, Fox News, whatever, its think tanks, too many even to mention, all of them acted not as guardians of free speech, pushing the limits of acceptable discourse, encouraging people to open their minds and think creatively about what's best for the country. No, they acted as scolds, as crossing guards, forcing their fellow conservatives to shut up and get back in lane. That's the whole career of William F. Buckley, was telling fellow conservatives that's not acceptable. They weren't for free speech. They were just the opposite. They were censors. And Trump exposed all of that. And they hated him for it. All of them. There are very few Republican office holders in 2016 or 2020 or 2024 or even right now in October of 2025 who sincerely like Trump. They hate Trump because he represents everything they're opposed to. They hate Trump, including people who work for Trump, hate Trump. And some of them said it out loud. Here's one of Trump's new best friends back in 2016 explaining how much he hates Donald Trump.
At some point, you got to stand up to it. I do not like bullies, and I never have. So I will not be voting for Donald Trump, and he can thank Roger Stone. And if they piss me off one more time, I'm going to urge millions and millions of you, should he get the nomination, not to vote for him either. I'm very serious about this.
Mark Levin is very serious about this. So why was Mark Levin mad? Why was he so mad? Why was Bill Kristol so mad? They're both kind of for Trump, actually. I remember very well. I knew them. And a lot of other people in Washington, very much like them. Why were they so mad at Trump? Well, that was early April of 2016. That was a few weeks after Trump announced at that earlier referenced primary debate in South Carolina that the Iraq War was a mistake. Whoa, that was too far. Because any politician who will acknowledge that the Iraq War was a mistake probably won't get on board with the future Iraq War. And that's all they cared about, was more Iraq wars waged on behalf of another country, its interest, not ours. Irrelevant the damage to the United States, irrelevant the cost, irrelevant the death toll. They wanted politicians who would do that again. And anyone who called it a mistake probably wouldn't. And so it's just worth remembering that some of Donald Trump's staunchest allies, the ones always telling you, lecturing you about MAGA and telling you who's in, who's out, you're not MAGA, you're not MAGA. Those very same people disagree with every single one of Donald Trump's 5 stated rationales for running, and much more important than that, all 5 reasons that tens of millions of Americans voted for him. They don't just disagree with Trump, they disagree with the bulk of the country who want these things badly. And those people are now telling you, oh, you're not MAGA. This is the pigs and the men becoming indistinguishable in the final scene of Animal Farm. And again, it's organic. This happens to all institutions. It will happen unless someone stops it, unless there is a clear and persistent and repeated articulation of what we're doing here. What is this about? Is it about one guy? No, it's not. Sorry. It's not about one guy. A guy to whom most of us will always be grateful for articulating vitally important principles out loud, being the first one in my lifetime to do so. God bless you for doing that. But it's bigger than any person. It's about the survival of the country. And it's about these 5 facts, these principles, these pillars. That's what MAGA is. And so you can measure anybody who claims to lead the movement against those 5 things, because they don't change until they're fixed, which they have not been. So we thought it'd be worth checking in with one of Donald Trump's earliest supporters, someone who supported Donald Trump not because she thought he was super charismatic or so great or hilarious, but she, in addition to those qualities, she agreed with all 5 things. Marjorie Taylor Greene was a business owner in Georgia in 2016 who was at the first Trump rallies that year, continued going to Trump rallies, and by the end of Trump's first term was so inspired by Donald Trump and what he was saying that she ran for Congress. And she, unlike most of her colleagues in that body, actually meant it. And because they could smell that she meant it, because sincerity is by far the most dangerous quality in Washington, someone who really means it is an actual threat. Thomas Massie isn't a threat because he won't accept AIPAC money. Thomas Massie is a threat because he won't accept AIPAC money on principle. Not because he hates Jews or hates Israel. He doesn't. But because he doesn't think American politicians should be bought by foreign countries. That's against his principles. And because he really means it, he can't be bought. So, of course, he must be destroyed. And now Marjorie Taylor Greene, who of all 535 members of the 435 members of House of Representatives, embodies most purely those principles. And she has cleaved to those principles. She has stuck to them through the years. And for that is now being written out of the movement by MAGA stalwarts like Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham and Mark Levin, none of whom agree with a single word Trump says and all of whom hate him. So we thought it'd be interesting to talk to her and ask, will it succeed? Will you be kicked out of the movement that you are a core part of? I don't know. Let's ask her. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia joins us now.
Hi, Tucker.
Congresswoman, thanks so much for doing this. So I keep reading that you are not representative of MAGA, and that's why I want to have this conversation, because I just want to get on tape before Wikipedia erases the past completely and we have no reference points, that you are not a latecomer to the Trump phenomenon, correct?
Oh, no. I've been on the Trump train since 2015. Back when I was just a regular person, didn't even have an idea about running for Congress. As a matter of fact, he laid out those 5 pillars, and I was listening to these clips of Donald Trump, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that man. And those are all the reasons I supported him from the very beginning when he stood on that stage among 17 Republican presidential candidates. And the rest of them I thought were slimy politicians, but Donald Trump spoke the language that I understood, and he was the one that made sense to me.
You know that Trump is really hated by your colleagues and by almost every single person in Washington. Not every single. There are people at the White House who sincerely love Trump. I know that to be true. But the overwhelming majority of Republicans in Washington secretly hate Trump, and they're too afraid of him to say so, but they hate him. Lindsey Graham, obviously. Ted Cruz really hates him. Mark Levin openly hates him. But they hate him because they don't agree. And you know that because in the last 10 years, there has been, other than you and Massie and a few others, there have been almost no elected officials in Washington to articulate what exactly MAGA is about. Have you noticed that?
That's absolutely correct. 1,000%. MAGA let's take that acronym. There's only one country in MAGA, and it's America. And I can tell you right now, I want to expand on how much Republicans hate Donald Trump. I became a member of Congress in January of 2021. I had only been sworn in for 3 full days when January 6th happened. And I can tell you firsthand, every single Republican there in Congress literally turned their back on Donald Trump after January 6th. And he didn't even do it. He had nothing to do with what happened that day. He didn't cause it. It was, it was a Fedsurrection. Antifa was involved. And then many of these poor people got swept up and went into the Capitol. And it was myself, Matt Gaetz, and a few others. We were the only ones that stayed, said that he's our president. He's the leader of the Republican Party. The American people will not abandon him. I did not abandon him. As a matter of fact, I fought my own Republican colleagues for years, literally years, until he finally won the primary in 2024. That was when they literally begrudgingly started saying, okay, I support Donald Trump. He's our nominee. And they still hated him. They absolutely hated him. I can remember Mike Lawler coming up and saying, he hated Donald Trump openly, used to make fun of him all the time. And then all of a sudden, after Donald Trump won in 2024, he finally decided it was time to put on a MAGA hat. It just made me sick. But these people are so fake. The only reason that they kiss up to Donald Trump, our president, the only reason they kiss up to him is because they're terrified of a Truth Social post, because they're terrified of their own constituents that fully support a MAGA, that fully support America first, and fully support everything that Donald Trump has laid out now for years and years. And, Americans got to the point where electing Donald Trump was a referendum on the Republican Party. And I very much feel that, because many times I hate my own party and I blame Republicans for many of the problems that we have today. And I blame them for being so America last, to the point where they are literally slaves to all the big industries in Washington, the military industrial complex, big pharma, health insurance industries, you name it. They are literally slaves to them, and they love the foreign wars so much. But Donald Trump was a referendum to the Republican Party on behalf of the American people, the forgotten man and woman of America that were just so sick of Washington, D.C. And that was me. Absolutely. That has been me the entire time. That's me today, literally serving as a member of Congress. And that's why people see me push back on my own party.
You ever feel like at the end of the month, all of your money's gone? Where'd it go? Well, one of the places it went is to unnecessary subscriptions. You probably have a lot of them. One night, for example, you decide to watch a movie, so you download a streaming service that carries it, but then you forget to cancel the service. They're banking on that, by the way. The next weekend, you want to watch a different movie, so you download another streaming service that carries that movie, but you forget to cancel that too. And the next thing you know, you're paying hundreds of dollars a month for subscriptions you forgot you had and don't need. One of the many perils of modern life. We have a solution. We're excited to partner with Rocket Money. It's a great company that can help you fix all of this. It's a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending in a non-judgmental way, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. The app so far has saved users, we estimate, $2.5 billion, including over $880 million in canceled subscriptions alone. 10 million people use Rocket Money and save up to $740 per year when they use all of the app's premium features. It's easy to use. It's super effective. A few clicks and you're done. You save. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions. Reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/Tucker today. rocketmoney.com/Tucker. Thanks for watching. You can go to tuckercarlson.com for our entire library of everything we've done, and we hope you will.
Hey, look! What the fuck? Whoa! Hey, what's the deal? Hit me? You fucking ran me off. What's the fucking Oh, hell no! Oh my God! not just in the 5 boroughs of this city, but in the halls of power. No more will New York be a city where you can traffic in Islamophobia and win an election.
Well, Mr. Two Parts, what is that racist Trump doing again? Well, he just directed $500 million into HBCUs. Now, peep this. Trump can't run again. He's already won. He don't need black votes. He don't need black votes. He don't need blacks to like him. He's watching blacks say they hate him, and he still directs $500 million into HBCUs. Man, Trump is such a racist guy. Why would he give HBCUs $500 million and don't need blacks right now? Lord have.
My name is Megan. I just have a question about something that you said. You state that American people come first and foremost, American values, American virtues, but you openly support platforms that take away trans people rights and openly do not agree with the fact that men can become women, women can become men.
So number one, that's not taking away anyone's rights. That's a recognition of reality. Also, 2 + 2 = 4 is not a reversal of anybody's rights. Like anybody's opinion of what they are that runs counter to the actual facts of the situation. You have a right to say what you want to say, but you certainly do not have a right to demand that everybody else say it with you. And that's you want to talk about a violation of First Amendment rights or a violation of basic American rights, trying to use the power of government, as so many people on the left have, to force everybody to say things are false in the name of your personal comfort. That's a violation of rights.
But to force people to do something for your own personal comfort doesn't infringe the same amount of rights?
What am I forcing you to do? Or anybody else who's trans?
Not be who they feel that they should be. They're not telling you.
No, I mean, you can be anything you want to be. I mean, but you can't be, let's put it this way. You can think whatever you want to think about yourself. You can't be anything you want to be. You can't be Napoleon. You can't be Jesus. And you can't be a member of the opposite sex. I mean, the facts of life are the facts of life. And declaring that everyone else should simply go along with what is in fact a counterfactual statement, a delusion, that's a violation of everybody else's rights. So the idea that you get to project onto everybody else your perception of self is so wild and bizarre a suggestion that it erodes the basic standard of truth and fact that is literally the basic for any even human conversation to take place. If we can't even tell what words mean anymore, if the only perception that matters is my own, that is the essence of narcissism. It's just you in a mirror looking at yourself and then demanding that everybody else say about you what you wish to say about yourself. That's not reality. And by the way, it's not even kind to you, because it turns out that one of the realities of life is that you will live a happier and better life if you understand and agree with reality rather than fighting it. Reality always wins. Whether you like it or not, reality always wins.
So in the same way that I guess people kind of have to accept that they won't be accepted, you're taking it.
It's not about being accepted. It's about you have to accept. Let's say if you're a male and you believe that you're a female, or you're a female and you believe that you're a male, you're going to have to accept the baseline reality that what you think is false about you. Okay, if I think that I'm an amazing basketball player, no matter how strongly I think it, it's not true. And it's going to be, I can think that as much as I want to think it. And the minute I get on the basketball court and I put up a jumper that gets blocked by some dude who's 6'5", right, then everybody's going to realize I just wasn't that good at basketball. And no matter what I thought about myself, I still wasn't good at basketball. That's a reality.
Do you think it's fair for the government to take those rights away?
Again, you haven't defined even what the right is that you're talking about. You do not have a right to dictate to me what I think of you. And you certainly do not have a right to dictate to me what I think about reality, especially when what I think reflects reality and what you think does not.
I'm not trying to convince you of anything. It's kind of like the government's trying to tell the people that they can't do something.
You can do what you want to do. You just can't dictate to anyone else what they do about it. That's how human relations work.
How come you can do the same thing?
I don't even understand the question. I'm not doing the same thing. I'm not forcing you to do anything. I'm literally not forcing you to do anything. I'm telling you to leave me alone.
So when the kid kind of like opens his conversation with Ben by saying, so Ben, he says, you openly support platforms that take away trans people's rights. So an example he gave, like, men can't become women, women can't become men. And I love how Ben answered, because I really feel that it's how we all feel. Like, we're not taking away anyone's rights. We just don't want you to enforce what you believe onto us. And I really wish that trans people would look at it this way. They're getting mad at us because they're saying we're trying to force our beliefs onto them. We're not really. We're trying to just tell them, don't force us to believe in your belief. So isn't that like hypocritical? They're mad at us. I'm going to say it again. They're mad at us because we're trying to force our beliefs onto them by not accepting they're trans and they could be a different sex than they were born at. Right? But then we're mad at them because they're trying to force us to accept who they are, of their beliefs, that they can switch their sex if they want to. I mean, why even, if you're really wanting to feel accepted, this is my thoughts around it. If you're really wanting it to feel accepted, accept who you are without having to drag everyone else into it. If you really feel happy, more happy, that you were born as a man, but you want to change yourself into a woman, and this is really making you wholeheartedly happy, then be happy with that. Don't let the fact that we can't accept that type of belief to let you feel like a victim. Live in the world that you want to live in and let us live in the world that we want to live in. And then we can coexist and share and talk and just have a great time. But when trans really try to establish rights, they're not trying to establish rights, I don't feel, that are rights for them. They're trying to take away other people's rights so that they can have rights. And you're only going to piss people off like that. If they want to have the right for us to believe in what they are and who they are now, don't try to slam it down our throats and force us to speak a certain way, because you're only going to get resistance. Another thing, if they want rights, like let's say for sports, they want the right to participate in women's sports because they're saying they're a woman. Well, come on, scientifically, you're not really a woman to be able to compete as a man biologically against a biological woman. Scientifically, that does not support your case. Why aren't trans people fighting to have their own category? Trans women competing against trans women, trans men competing against trans men. Why aren't they fighting to have their own category? As women, we fought for so long to get our own rights, to have our own sports, to have our privacy in our own bathrooms where we're not having men entering in. And now, because trans people say that they're a woman now, I mean, it's just ridiculous for them to feel that we should accept that, especially with things that happen where men have pretended to be women, allegedly, and have gone in and done harm to women in bathrooms. I mean, it's just mind blowing. So when Ben is trying to share with this guy, you can believe, or this woman, I don't even know. She says she's Megan, but she kind of looks like a male. I don't know. That, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but don't force us to believe in what you believe in. Don't force us to start to speak a certain way. That's only going to piss people off, and it's not going to bring people together.
This brother is absolutely right.
Was Oprah dumb when she was hanging out with that racist? Was Whoopi Goldberg dumb when she was hanging out with that racist? So when did he become a racist? When they told you he was. Was he a racist? And was he a problem for Hillary Clinton when he stood up at Chelsea Clinton's wedding? When he was golfing with Bill Clinton for years? Make it make sense. Oh! And again, this is not me advocating for Donald Trump, but I need to give you an example that you cannot argue. People are upset because Donald Trump's a racist because he took out an $85,000 ad in the newspapers against the Exonerated Five, formerly known as the Central Park Five. Right? That's a problem. That's problematic because he said they needed to get the death penalty. You know what everybody leaves out of that conversation? Two things. The first is, all we had was the information that was being presented to us on the news. At the time. And at the time, all that information said that we got him. We got these kids. They ain't say nothing about rounding them up or how they rounded them up or this, that, and the third. They sat up there and they present. Go look at forget me. Go look at Ava DuVernay's Netflix movie. Go look at all the documentaries made about these guys. Now, here's the gag. At the time when Donald Trump did that, he was a registered Democrat. Not only that, he was a private citizen. Not only that, the district attorney, the assistant district attorney, the chief of police, the mayor, all of them happen to be Democrats.
I asked questions you couldn't answer, so that's why I gave a statement. Do you agree that the same Social Security number was used on at least 20 different CHNV supporter applications?
So first, let me start by saying...
So these are yes/no questions. So yes or no?
I just want to make clear that the role that USCIS plays is on the supporter side.
And I'm asking about supporter applications.
Okay. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that question then? I heard it as the parolee.
No, the same Social Security number was used on at least 20 different CHNV supporter applications. That's the question I asked.
Sorry.
You're aware of that?
Yes, I am very aware.
That happened at least 3,200 times.
I don't have the exact number.
That's according to DHS's report.
Okay.
You don't dispute DHS's report.
No, I absolutely will not.
Also, the same phone number was used on at least 20 different supporter applications, at least 3,300 times. That's according to the report. Do you agree that that report's accurate?
I don't have that report in front of me, but
I'm reading from
I won't
it.
dispute. Yes, but I don't have it in front of me, and I would prefer.
So you would dispute it?
No, I'm not disputing what I am saying.
So you would deflect and ramble around. You don't disagree with that number. You don't think I'm deliberately cherry-picking number and just saying, oh, I'm just throwing this stuff out. I'm giving you the numbers from the report. Do you trust me on that? Do you at least trust me that far?
Yes.
Okay, so then you agree with that number. The same email address was used on at least 20 different supporter applications, nearly 2,000 times. You agree with that?
Sir, if there is a situation where we have concerns of fraud and integrity, we take action at USCIS, and that is exactly what we have done with regard to CHNV.
So let's clarify here. So I'm laying foundation, and you don't really want to admit that there's this much rampant fraud here. You're trying to tell me that when you find fraud, we cure it. And yet nearly 2,000 times you had the same email address used on 20 different supporter applications. The same exact 184-word text response to a question on the supporter application was used on more than 1,800 such applications by nearly 190 different CHNV supporters. More than 460 non-existent zip codes were used on supporter applications on behalf of more than 2,800 CHNV aliens. So you see, you can dance around and say you don't have the report in front of you and whatnot, but these are the facts. This program is rife with fraud. As of August 6, 2024, DHS had approved more than 80,000 CHNV supporters who were in the U.S. on a temporary basis. I'm going to give you some numbers. 224 CHNV parolees approved as CHNV supporters. That seems awkward. 170 additional parolees, non-CHNV, approved as CHNV supporters. 28,322 temporary protected status holders approved as CHNV supporters. 19,865 SLEs approved as CHNV supporters. 311 DACA recipients approved as CHNV supporters. 1,300 plus aliens in the U.S. on temporary visas approved as CHNV supporters. 64 refugees approved as CHNV supporters. 1,912 conditional permanent residents approved as CHNV supporters. That is the program that you are administering. That's the section that you're administering. That's the supporters. I'm not talking the aliens. I'm not getting into the violation of law of the U.S. Code 1182 when the use of parole is supposed to be on a case-by-case basis, where Secretary Mayorkas himself has sat here and under oath said it's supposed to be on a case-by-case basis. I'm not getting into that. What I'm getting into is a program the side that USCIS is supposed to actually administer, and that is the supporter applications. And the fraud was so rampant, you closed down the program. But you didn't fix it. It's still ongoing. We're waiting for the next report to confirm that these things are still going on because it wasn't fixed. Mr. Chairman, my time's up. I'll yield back.
Mr. Chairman, can I respond to the question?
Please, sure.
Yes.
There was no question because I asked questions you couldn't answer, so that's why I gave a statement. There was no question for you, ma'am.
When will y'all admit? Oh, I almost spilled my coffee. When will y'all admit that killing somebody over the words coming out of their mouth, their religious or political views, is a form of fascism? Y'all are bitching about fascism constantly, and you cannot give us a single fucking actual example of how the right is fascist. And y'all are fucking killing people and celebrating it and calling us fascists. You're fucking retarded. That was mean. I'm autistic. I can say retarded. But that was mean. Y'all aren't retarded. You're just incredibly misguided. And I apologize for being mean. I'm loud. And I was loud for the left. I was a loud Democrat. Back in 2020, I got the COVID-19 vaccination, and I said that you are evil if you don't get it. And now I have a clinical medical fucking heart condition that is an actual hindrance on my life that I did not have until after I got that fucking vaccination, which technically has nothing to do with what I'm saying, but forcing people. I was forced to get the vaccine. I was going to be fired from my job. I was trying to schedule appointments that I was not allowed to schedule until I got the fucking vaccination, and forcing people to get stuff injected into their body against their consent. Oh, it's my body, my choice, until it's fucking your choice. Yes, it makes no fucking sense to me, but I fucking digress. I was supposed to stop swearing, so actually I need to relax. But, like, it's fascism. It's a form of fascism. Like, y'all are forcing people to conform. You are trying to force people to believe a certain way. You are trying to force people to say certain things. And you're gonna fucking kill them. You're gonna freaking kill them if they don't conform. You're going to ostracize them, cut them out from your lives, convince everybody else to cut them out from their lives. You are a cult. No Republican has simply cut off people that they love from their lives because of their political views. Only Democrats do that. And as a former Democrat, I did that. Stop lying. I will be so much louder. So much.
You've got to hear this.
The book of Revelation, especially the first 4 horses of the apocalypse. The question is, why these 4? Why these colors? There is information contained in the colors. God is not trying to confuse us, and He's not just throwing colors out there. There must be a rational justification for why He picked these 4. Take a look at your screen. What do you see? Here's the symbol, the national symbol of next door neighbor to Israel, Jordan. What colors do you see? Can you help me here? White, red, black, and green. And then if you go next door, inside the territory of Israel, there is the Palestinian, symbolized by that flag. What colors do you see on the national flag of Sudan? Let's go to Kuwait. Let's go to the United Arab Emirates. What colors do you see? Alright, well let's just go to Libya because it could just be coincidence here. Okay, let's go to Afghanistan. What do you see? Let's go to Syria. What do you see? Let's go to Iraq. What do you see? I wonder if God has successfully communicated something.
He is a billionaire who left a life of luxury to serve the American people. He is somebody who is not doing it for power. He already had power. He's not doing it for fame. He already had fame. He's not doing it for the money. He already had money. He doesn't care. He wakes up every morning to all the insults and the hate and images of beheading by Kathy Griffith that his son can watch and be mortified that somebody actually really killed my dad. And then he remembers, I'm not doing this to please the media. I'm doing it because I'm fighting for the American people. They hate him because he is serving the American people. He is putting America first. And they do not know how to handle him. And that's why Donald Trump is resonating with a lot of people in this country, from CEOs of companies to janitors working for $10 an hour. Because from the janitor to the CEO, they know, and everybody in between, President Donald Trump is working for me. And it's a breath of fresh air, because for decades now, we have had many presidents on the right and the left. Not many people could say, Barack Obama is working for me, or George Bush is working for me, or Clinton is working for me. But with Donald Trump, the janitor knows President Donald Trump is working for me. And that's why he's resonating with the people.
What if everything you've been told about Donald Trump has been carefully crafted to make you hate him? What if he isn't here to destroy America, but to expose the systems that have been controlling it for decades? The media profits off of division. They tell you who to love, who to hate, what to think. But what happens when someone challenges the narrative? He is the only president that's been vocal about taking down human traffickers. He signed the Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act, making it easier to take down these human traffickers. Under his administration, U.S. Marshals rescued hundreds of missing and exploited children. Now, why was that not covered in the news? Now, he's pushed for audits of government agencies, cutting billions in wasteful spending. He made Big Pharma lower drug prices, and soon will be exposing the entire industry. He is the first president to stand up against China's economic control, forcing fair trade deals to bring jobs back to America. He is the first president in decades not to start a new war. He challenged the military-industrial complex and exposed the deep ties between war and profit. Now he's focusing on peace agreements in the Middle East instead. And recently took out CNN, the New York Times, and other mainstream news outlets from the Pentagon, replacing them with a broader range of media voices. Why? To break the monopoly of traditional outlets, giving the American people the access to diverse perspectives rather than controlled narratives. Real change ain't comfortable, it isn't pretty, and it isn't always easy to understand in the moment. Maybe it's time to question the narrative. What if you've been lied to?
I don't know what big old company needs to hear this, but I don't want stores without staff. I don't only want to be able to order food on your app. I don't want to do self-checkout. I want to see human connection, and I want to see those people make enough money to where they want to do those jobs. Oh, well, it's convenient and cost savings. Well, those savings don't seem to be finding their way back to the consumer. With all the advancements in AI and tech and all of that fun stuff, you think that somebody could maybe AI some common sense. I kind of miss going to places where people know your name. Maybe not your business, but definitely your name. I miss feeling valued as a customer. I miss actually having that connection. I want to go into a hardware store and actually maybe see somebody who knows how to use the product that you're selling. Not some kid telling me to download the mobile app and I'll be able to see all of everything on the store. I don't want that. Nobody wants that. I don't want to go through a drive-thru and talk to the Mick robot. Or go into a convenience store that somehow has turned itself into the most inconvenient thing in the world. Don't roll your eyes at me that I don't know how to use your self-checkout. I never got a class. I'm just saying, can we not reinvent the wheel? Maybe, instead of doing all these updates and spending all this money on tech and all the other stuff that nobody wants, you just pay your employees enough to where they want to do their job. Just throwing it out there.
Should illegal immigrants get due process?
Fuck no.
Why?
What do you need due process for? You're illegal. By definition, you're a criminal. You can either self-deport or you can wait for ICE to get you the fuck out of this country. It's very simple.
How did this happen? Ask yourself, how did this happen? It happened because a small socialist portion of this country took control of the Democrat Party. A party that is now apparently united behind a socialist agenda. And slogans always seem to start with the same word: free. Free food, free rent, free buses, right? I feel like I'm at an Oprah Winfrey show. You get a car and you get a car. Well, this isn't the Oprah Winfrey show. And like many of you, my parents taught me a really good lesson when I was young. Nothing is free. Everything comes with a cost. Absolutely nothing is free. We all learned that. Look no further than the Democrats' disastrous shutdown plan. They want to give free health care to illegals. Come to our country. We'll give you, illegally mind you, we'll give you free health care on the backs of hard-working Americans. And in demanding that, they're asking for $1.5 trillion in wasteful spending and a painful shutdown. A shutdown that has denied food assistance to 42 million American families. 42 million American families. A shutdown that has forced law enforcement to work without pay. But don't worry, I'm sure those law enforcement agents can go and get free food from their local grocery store and somebody will pay their free rent, right? Yeah, I live in reality, not fantasy. The Democrats want to jeopardize our national security. And now, flights have been reduced by 10% at 40 of our major airports. I think air traffic, like when you get on a plane, what's next? Like your plane rides are going to be free too? I mean, why stop at food and buses? Let's just give everything free. It doesn't work like that, people. Nothing's free. Somebody is paying. And who pays? Anybody want to guess who pays? Hardworking taxpayers. American taxpayers. That's who pay. Nothing's free, right? Nothing is free.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
50+% of all murders are done by black men. They are 7% of the population, and they do more than half of all the killing in this country. I am not going to pander and use, I feel your pain and white privilege and sentencing stuff. How about you stop murdering so many people? And I'm not saying that blacks are doing it because they're black. I'm saying they're doing it when you don't have a father around. You are more likely to enter that cycle of violence.
Larry. Take the 30s during the Great Depression, or the 40s, or the 50s, when black poverty was high and discrimination against blacks was high. In 1940, 87% of blacks lived below the federally defined level of poverty. Yet in the 1930s, black homicide went down. The 1940s, black homicide went down. 1950s, black homicide went down. You know when it increased about 89%? The 1960s, when Lyndon Johnson, with the best of intentions, launched what he called the War on Poverty. Suddenly, the percentage of black kids being born into the world without a father married to the mother skyrocketed. And as I've said many times before, don't take Elder's word for it, take Barack Obama's word for it.
The statistics that children who grow up without a father are 5 times more likely to live in poverty and commit crime. They're 9 times more likely to drop out of school, 20 times more likely to end up in prison.
So, are you mad about what Charlie said? Or are you mad that it was Charlie saying it?
You want to see a liar?
I want to say it very clearly. I will not defund the police.
Lie.
I am in favor of defunding the police.
I want to speak to the memory of my aunt who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Oh wait, another lie.
I was speaking about Zerafui, my father's cousin.
Doesn't wear a hijab.
I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety.
Maybe he's telling the truth on this one. Oh wait, nope, lie.
The struggle for Palestinian liberation was at the core of my politics and continues to be. I am not, and nor have I ever called for the legalization of prostitution.
You guessed it, lie.
You support decriminalizing prostitution?
Yes, my fundamental belief that sex work is work. I would be happy to work with the president and the administration.
Lie.
We need to be doing here in our city is to end the chapter of collaboration between City Hall and the federal government. I don't believe that the role of the mayor is to police speech.
Lying again.
There are consequences for speaking up in favor of apartheid.
So just find out who you're voting for before you vote who you're voting for.
At this point, man, the Democrats are over the moon excited that they won, that they got some victories. They should be freaking embarrassed. This brother is a liar. Check this out.
Scares you more than him?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, how come? Yeah. Would you run away from her if you saw her?
Yes, definitely.
She's kind of attractive, though, isn't she?
No.
No? Are you gay?
I'm not. All the MAGA women have that bizarre look to them.
Oh, really?
Do we look bizarre?
No, you don't look like you belong on Fox News. So, no.
We're both MAGA. I'm
a
lesbian.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a lesbian. She's black.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
So.
Why do you think we voted for Trump?
I have no idea, but enjoy Zoran as your next mayor.
Wait, what's your favorite policy of Zoran's?
All of them.
Which one? Just name one. They don't have one because they don't know one. They don't know.
As soon as you come out as a Trump supporter, the tolerant left is no longer tolerant.
He said all of us look bizarre, and then he said that we didn't look bizarre. It's like, what? Which is it? Trump girl or Mom Donnie?
Who's worse for NYC? I mean,
like, who are you more scared of?
Trump girl, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah? You'd run away from her on the street if you saw her?
Oh, God. Wearing the hat? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Scary.
A little, yeah.
What's your favorite policy of his?
Favorite policy? This is, you said the worst of two evils. I think a lot of his policies are a little like the, school principal promising like free Chick-fil-A lunches for everybody.
Thank you for saying that.
I don't know that all of them necessarily have the infrastructure behind them to be real. But I also hope that pushing for more progressive policies, that you're able to come back and find a middle ground that's a little more evenly balanced,
Yeah. Free buses, rent freeze, those types of things. How is that going to be possible? Because who's going to pay that bus worker over there if it's free?
It's a good question.
Yeah. You know the answer?
We have to
The answer is our taxes. Yeah, exactly.
True.
See, you're smart.
Smart guy.
All right, bye.
Are you gay?
What?
Yeah. She's scared.
You saw how he ran up out of there, right? When he realized that, oh man, I should have thought about that. I wasn't voting for a principal promising free Chick-fil-A if I do a certain type of thing. What? Free buses mean free drivers, free mechanics, free gas. And if not, where is it going to come from? Hold on, we're not done yet.
Is it not reasonable for Christians to end up with left-leaning politics or liberal politics or progressive politics?
Well, because the Bible equally, if not more, talks about order and structure and borders. The entire book of Nehemiah is around building the wall. And 1 Corinthians says that God is a God of order. And understand that, is it telling the state to do that or the person to do that? We should all care for the poor personally, individually, and through our churches. Is it the role of the state? That is to be debated. Equally, if you're on the left, you're also denying God's design of male and female, God's design of where life is created at conception. You're also at war with this idea of the proper role of the state. And let's just say this, the bigger the government, the smaller the citizen and the smaller the church. We see this in Europe. As government gets bigger, the church gets smaller. And so while I'm not going to say that there's the misunderstanding of Scripture is that government is here to save you. We believe that God is here to save you. We believe government should be small but strong to do moral and righteous and good things while we're here on this earth for God's purposes. But we want the church to be big and the government to be small.
Sounds familiar? And I thought this was a brilliant question, by the way. Just so he can get a better understanding of who are the real Christians, like who truly represent what God wants us to represent. Is it the Democrats who claim to want to do for everybody and give to everybody and not hold anybody accountable, and you can be whatever you want to be and do whatever you want to do, say whatever you want to say? We can expose children to certain things like the New Jersey governor that just now won. We can teach kids about sexuality and sexual orientation in kindergarten all the way through 5th grade. We can promote boys using girls' bathrooms and girls using boy bathrooms and playing on the same sports teams. We can promote those things. We can promote young kids getting surgeries for, come on, bro. This is what the side that claim that MAGA and conservatives are the worst people on earth. They claim that they love God, but they are nothing but hateful. Where? Where's the hate? They see responsibility and accountability as hate. Hold on, we got one more. Don't go anywhere. Watch this. And shout out to Charlie, man, coming from, listen, the dude was impactful. He was on point. I don't hear anything hateful. And you're about to hear one other thing from Charlie. Check this out.
Hey everybody, Zohran Mamdani, a radical socialist, is poised to win the Democrat primary in New York and become the likely next mayor of New York City. He wants to send social workers to crimes that a police officers. He's super weak on crime, which will make New York a very dangerous city, even more dangerous than it is right now. He wants the city to take over grocery stores, which is such an asinine, lunatic, insane idea. It's hard to even put it into words. More than anything else, though, he is a resentment-driven candidate who is going to try to promise the world utopia, and the result will be higher taxes, more dangerous cities, successful people will leave. Be careful what you vote for. Be careful what you wish for, because New York City has already been going down the toilet, and this guy will give it a push right off the cliff.
And we already see that happen. The millionaires have already started leaving New York, heading to places like South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, Texas, you name it. Pick your red state. They're running. Millionaires are leaving. People who make on average 10 million plus. 10% of those people have left already. I just now watched something on Fox News where Kelly McEnany was looking at some new numbers that just now came in already. People know what's coming, man. This socialist propaganda, this mess don't work. Byron Donalds was just now on a CNN platform where the young lady was asking him about his what do you think about Mamdani? And he said that he is a communist. He's a socialist. Like, his policies point toward that. And if you can name me one time where his way of governing actually worked for a nation anywhere, you pick one, then please, I want to hear it. But if you can't, why are people voting for him? Because, as the young man that I posted earlier today, he says, whenever you tell a bunch of people that you can get something for free, they be like, yes, where do I sign? And you know the first people that give into that before anyone? Foreigners who were not born here.
Safety, we have to make sure that we are safe for protesters to exercise their rights peacefully and to make sure their lives are protected, as well as our peace officers. And
I'm currently waiting for my oven to preheat, so don't mind my chicken just sitting on the stove right there. And by the way, look at my new kitchen towels. Yeah, so cute. But you already know what I'm here for, because we need to talk some shit. Michelle Obama just keeps finding new ways to piss me the fuck off. If you haven't seen this shit, y'all take a look at this.
Let me explain something to white people. Our hair comes out of our head naturally in a curly pattern. So when we're straightening it to follow your beauty standards, we are trapped by the straightness. That's why so many of us can't swim. And we run away from the water. People won't go to the gym because we're trying to keep our hair straight for y'all. It is exhausting and it's so expensive and it takes up so much time. Braids are for y'all so we can work harder and focus on the work. So why do we need an act, an act of law to tell white folks to get out of our hair? Don't tell me how to wear my hair. Don't wonder about it. Don't touch it. Just don't.
The irony of all of this is her sitting there with her hair straight as hell, trying to act like she's struggling because of the white man when her husband had 2 terms in office. Like, if you don't know how to fucking swim, it's probably because your parents didn't teach you how to swim, or you just never took swimming classes. But you literally just found a way to blame and oppress yourself about why your hair is straight is to meet the beauty standards of white women. That's why you don't go to the gym and why you don't know how to swim. Bitch, is you for real? She has her own beauty team that dresses her up in designer and does her hair every day. But I mean, yeah, she has all of that because the white man is holding her back. Like, this shit don't make no damn sense. And then the fact that people broke out into applause. Oh my God, wow, she's amazing. When she just used hair as another reason to tell black women to feel oppressed and held back. Because the last time I checked, when your beauty team comes and blows out your hair and makes it straight, why do you have them do that when you could just go outside and feel confident in your Afro puff? Like, can we please stop this bullshit? Nobody is holding you down and holding a gun to your head and saying, I want you to look like white women. Oh, and women get braids. Black women get braids because it helps them to work harder. Focus on their work. If that ain't the most I want to be a professional victim shit I've heard in my goddamn life. And then, of course, coming out of the mouth of someone who's not struggling, someone whose husband was fucking president and she was first lady. Like, did she forget it was because of the majority of white people in this country why her husband won 2 terms? Like, this act is just getting so fucking old.
It will actually reduce the deficit by $4 trillion over the long term. Reducing the waste and inefficiency in Medicare and Medicaid will pay for most of this plan. It will slow the growth of healthcare costs for our families, our businesses, and our government. There will be a provision in this plan that requires us to come forward with more spending cuts if the savings we promised don't materialize.
So I thought it would be fun to highlight just how much money our Democratic members of Congress receive from insurance companies and companies associated with the ACA and Obamacare in the form of donations and super PACs to fund their campaigns and line their pockets. Now, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of profit margin that these insurance companies are making on the backs of hardworking Americans while they keep hiking up our insurance rates and denying us coverage every chance they get. But there's enough profit to go around to line the pockets of these members of Congress to make sure that those members of Congress vote on their behalf and not ours. So if you're anything like me, you are sick and tired of hearing the lies and the bullshit that they keep feeding us. Hey, guess what, Congress? Get to work and open up this freaking government, because there are people that are busting their ass and not getting paid.
Who am I here with?
My name is Norman Robbins, and I'm not your grandpa.
Awesome. I love that.
So do I.
What are you doing at the Republic Square right now?
I came to find a young mentally retarded woman that I was with yesterday, who I gave a bath and gave some clothes to. She's supposed to be sitting right here with one of my bags and a man named Adam.
Norman, are people disappearing?
Not here, as far as I know yet. They are in Houston.
Why are people disappearing in Houston?
They're being sold, sir. They're being trafficked to other countries.
Homeless people?
Yes, absolutely. Some of them are not homeless. They're just in the wrong place at the wrong time and they become homeless.
That's interesting. Do you mind stepping up a little for me?
Whatever you want.
Norman, did you just come from Houston, or how do you know that?
I got from Houston. I arrived here August the 10th. I arrived in Houston on July 3rd, which was my birthday. Had some business meetings. On July 10th, I was robbed and beaten by some, what I like to call, zombies. The Walking Dead is real in Houston, downtown, as it used to be here in Austin in 2021. You can ask the next question, or I can keep talking.
I just ran into a guy whose half his friends just disappeared in the last 2 days.
I believe it.
And that's kind of my main, I think, quest today, is to figure out what's going on. Why are people disappearing?
It's what they're smoking, sir. They call it tune. It's actually been sent to a chemist friend of mine. It's LSD 25 hard. What's being done, as far to the best of my knowledge, is being dissolved in mineral water. They're buying OG Kush so they can call it OG Kush. They're rolling small joints. They're dipping it in the LSD. They're cutting it into quarter-inch sections and selling it to people for $5. If you should smoke that whole quarter-inch, you're taking anywhere from 50 to 100 hits of acid at once. I have seen men older than me fold in half like a paper clip. That same man died 2 nights later. Everybody called him Pops. He had a big gray beard and 2 German Shepherds.
How long you been out on the streets for, sir?
This time, since the 10th of July, when I was robbed in Houston. I've also spent 15 days in jail. For the first time in my life, I'm 68 years old. I was arrested by the Austin Police Department for threatening to punch a 26-year-old man who called me a liar.
Why would he call you a liar?
Earlier in the shift, I had purchased a 12-ounce can of Coca-Cola for 79 cents. When he took over, the price of the Coke went to $1.59. When I told him 2 hours ago I paid 79 cents, he called me an effing liar, and I said I should jerk you over that counter and slap you in the face with your own hands. The police were called. I was asked if I was trespassed, which I had been earlier by the McDonald's, not by the convenience store. When he started to put the cuffs on me, I refused to answer any more questions. So he never got the details, and I spent 15 days in jail, the first 8 under the wrong name.
Do you think it would have gone different if you would have communicated?
Oh, absolutely, but he didn't want to listen. He wanted to arrest me.
I hear you, man.
So I told him to contact my attorney. I gave him the attorney's name, which I'll leave out right now. He's in Houston, Texas, and when he takes people's money, it's a hoot. And he knows who I'm talking about.
Do you think you could turn your hat backwards?
I can do whatever you want, sir. It's got a name on it. Does that make a difference?
How old are you?
68, sir. Born in 1957, July 3rd.
You've seen some stuff.
I've seen it all, except for the invention of the plane and electricity. Everything I've ever seen on a movie is true. Star Trek, when they first came out with flip phones, calling people. My first phone was a Nextel. I thought I was Captain Kirk.
Man, what the things that are going on in the world right now, and talking to people like you is exactly what this channel needs.
It's big cities. It's in the middle of every city. They're restricting water flow to the sewer system. They're turning the general public against the homeless. When they restrict water flow in the sewer system, the urine smell and the feces smell stays. It doesn't get washed away. People in Houston are onto it. They have a big Nigerian man who can lift these water main lids. He loves to do it. They lift water mains and they bust them and they run them right down the drain so nobody sees them. And they'll run for hours and hours, and that block will become scent-free.
Wow. Why do you think people are disappearing right now?
I know why people are disappearing, because there are people in the world who can afford to buy people and do with them what they want.
And we're at a change in the administration right now. Do you think that has anything to do with it?
No, absolutely not. This is done way bigger. It's done by someone who, if you mess with them, they have no qualms about taking out your whole family.
And you've seen it in real time in Houston?
Yes, sir. I saw it in real time. I hung out with a lady named Alice. She was 26 years old. Her father was a multimillionaire from Cleveland, Ohio. She suddenly disappeared, and 4 days later, my friend Scott got a phone call from her. She was at home in Cleveland. She had been in Liberia. Her father paid $1 million to buy her back.
Man, wow. That's just basically ransom, right?
No, that was a purchase price. She was property.
Wow. Man,
My fellow MAGA women, Ratchet Jasmine Crockett, yes, Ratchet Jazzy. She says that we all have a look. Listen.
Okay, a lot of the MAGA women receive gender-affirming care, such as lip fillers, breast augmentation, etc. Why do you think they are so against gender-affirming care for trans people?
You know you want to say it.
Okay, so I have this thing where, like, you know a MAGA woman when you see one.
1,000%.
They all have a look,
Big
right?
back,
But they, like, they lips be up to... Anyway, that's a whole other issue.
Ratchet Jazzy has what appears to be an entire turd wrapped around the crown of her head, and she's gonna make fun of the way MAGA women look.
So if 20 million illegal immigrants can help our economy, why didn't they help their own economy? So wait, it cost $450 billion to take care of illegal immigrants in the United States of America. Yet the liberals say $10 billion is too much to build a wall. If requiring an ID to vote is racist, is requiring an ID to board a plane, drive a car, or buy alcohol also racist? So in America, if you cheat to get into college, you can go to jail. But if you cheat to get into America, you get free college.
Here's Lindsey Graham. It's an amazing clip. I don't, no one even noticed this. Watch this. This is Lindsey Graham describing his personal travel schedule and how often he's in Israel. Watch this.
Well, this is my 5th visit, I think, since October the 7th. I'm here for a reason, to show support to you, my good friend, the elected leader of the state of Israel. I'm here also to take on, and I will talk about this tomorrow, a form of blood libel in 2024. That the state of Israel is using starvation as a weapon of war.
It's like an infomercial. It's like a badly shot infomercial for like prostate health cures or something. Super Beats or something. Like, stand there. Well, Dr. So-and-so, you know, it's like, it's unbelievable. He is doing PR for a foreign country. And even Netanyahu, he's a prime minister of another country, not our country, another country, looks a little bit embarrassed. Like, who is this weird kind of fawning guy? Is he going to touch my chest? I'm uncomfortable. You can feel that. But the whole point of Lindsey Graham being there, because he tells us is the point, is to defend Israel from unfair criticism on the internet. Is that his job as a U.S. senator? To be unpaid, and we're guessing about the unpaid part, but I do sense he'd do it for free, to be a PR shill for a foreign prime minister, not even really the nation, another politician who's not an American. What the hell is going on? And then he just admits out loud, this is my 5th trip to Israel since October 7th. 5th trip. So this was in March. So that's 5 months after October 7th. This is in March of 2024. October 7th was 2023. So 5 months, 5 trips to Israel. That's 1 trip to Israel a month. Is there any chance that Lindsey Graham has been in the, state capital of South Carolina, Columbia, once a month during that time? No, there's no chance. In fact, he hasn't. By the way, Lindsey Graham was that same year in Ukraine more often than he was in Columbia, South Carolina.
If there is no Texas, the country completely falls apart. And you said it, and people need to know it. The Muslim Brotherhood in London and in Paris, they recognize that Dallas in particular, Texas, is the epicenter of what they're trying to do for the Islamification of not just Texas, not just America, but the Western Hemisphere.
Big time.
They're planting the seeds here, and we've got to rip those seeds up and get them out of Texas.
Demons are transgender. Human beings are made male and female. Demons do not inhabit a physical body as human beings do. When angels or demons appear, demons are fallen, cursed angels. At times, they do appear as male and female. When demons appear, they appear like humans. Some of us have entertained angels unaware because they look like people. In the Bible, angels are never sexually involved with human beings, but demons often are. Demons are often involved in perversion, transgenderism, and sexuality that is perverse.
Islam will be spread by 2 ways: through the importation of Muslims into your country, or the spread of lower income, predominantly minority men. Would you agree with that? And
the left love Islam, and they will import Islam, and we see that in Australia and in London. One of the major people in the Department of Education in London, he's literally an imam and a mufti. He's literally an Islamic scholar and an imam who preaches. You will see Islam make its way into the left-wing politics. That's one of the reasons the borders were open the last 4 years. It was intentional about changing the character of this nation fundamentally. The way to destroy America will be Islam, and this is very obvious in UK. Half of Americans are left, half of Americans are right, give or take. The only way for leftism to win permanently is to import a group of people that fundamentally hates the American freedom. That happens to be Islam.
The entire trans industry should be shut down and criminalized. These surgeries ought to rank up there with electric shock treatments and lobotomies.
You called it Transtifa.
Yes. Yes. I think that this entire thing is Island of Dr. Moreau level stuff. And here's why. We're messing with wiring beyond our capacity. We are taking the most intimate core and the first biological fact ever said about you and about me and about anyone who has ever lived is not, oh, look, they're non-binary, we don't know. The first biological fact said about oh, look, they were born in the wrong body. The first biological fact stated about every human being that's ever been born is it's a boy or it's a girl. And when you become a godless culture, something has to fill that void. We'll always make it ourselves. And now we think that we are qualified to tinker with mystical cosmic forces beyond us that we can't possibly understand, math we couldn't possibly begin to do, because we're mortal. We're sinners. It exceeds us. We're not transcendent. We're not perfect. And I think when you tinker with people on this intimate of a level, I think we're unleashing things we don't understand. Rather than urging them to go seek the counseling, particularly of the spiritual variety that they clearly need, and instead just tinkering with their psyches all the more, I think there is a large cost to pay for that for both the victim and then the rest of us that they later victimize. And this is just yet another blatant example. And I think these surgeries en masse ought to be completely shunned, completely banned and criminalized. On the micro level, the irony is that Charlie was really the last general we had left that was still trying to reach across the aisle.
Hello, my name's Eve, your local transsexual. I just wonder where you get this idea that like trans people are being indoctrinated.
Okay, so are you say you're transsexual or transgender? And tell me, is there a technical difference between the two?
Damn. Okay. Some people say that there's a difference. To me, there's no difference. So it's just either or.
Okay, so by a lot, what are your chromosomes? XX or XY?
Very strange question, but
Not
I
really.
think XY. I could be intersex. Who knows?
Okay, so you were born as a man and you are a man.
No. I was born as a man, and now I'm a woman.
Okay, no, but you don't become a woman just because you dress like a woman.
Oh, my goodness. What about my hormones?
I don't become black. Do I become black if I wear blackface?
That is a wild comparison, but hormones by themselves you can actively change. By taking HRT, you can also stop taking the T suppressor.
But people are more than
eventually.
hormones. I mean, you have men with low testosterone; those are called white dudes for Harris. You can have women with high testosterone. So testosterone, estrogen, and your endocrinology is more than what you are as either a man or a woman. There's brain size. There is how you process information. There is bone density, muscle mass. Every single one of your cells is either coded XX or XY. So let me ask you a question. If I wear a disguise or a costume, do I become that thing? For example, if I dress with a sombrero and start talking with a Mexican accent, do I then become that culture?
No, because that's different race.
Okay,
That's
but then
very
wait, why? How is it different? Because you're saying that if you dress a certain way and you present a certain way, you can be as you think you are. Why can't I also just choose what culture I am?
Because you're born within a culture. You're born with.
But you were born as a man.
Thank you.
But let him finish.
All right, fuck you. Anyways, sorry.
I'm sorry. What did you say? My pronouns are not F you, actually.
Oh wow, thank you. All right. Anyways. There are many things collectively into a culture that has been built up over time, but not as much as, male or female.
Got it. So what is a woman?
What is a woman is whatever you want to be.
So anyone can be a woman?
Yeah.
Do you get a period?
No. Well, actually, yes. So, no.
Wow. Can you give birth?
No. But a lot of trans people that are on hormones do get PMS symptoms.
Right, but symptoms and is different. I mean, like moodiness or mood swings are not the same thing.
Yeah,
but can you give birth?
Also, cis women don't always have to give birth. Cis women can also have PMS symptoms without getting a period.
Right. So, but you have to. So, a woman can be whatever you want it to be. Is that correct?
Yeah, but cis women can also be and have all of those
So,
things.
under that logic, can I become a bobcat or a giraffe?
I mean, if you want me to call you a bobcat, sure. I don't care.
So, at some point, don't you see that it's probably a bad idea to give people the ability to identify whatever they want as just because they feel a certain way?
Why would it be a bad thing?
Well, shouldn't we have some sort of objective truth that male and female differences and distinctions matter?
There is no real male or female distance, especially in archaeology. A lot of...
Wait, there's no difference between men and women?
There are some, for sure.
Well, what differences are there?
I'm talking about, like, when you talk about brain size or skeletal bone structure or whatever, archaeologists, for example, have a very tough time distinguishing between male and sex, or male and female, I apologize. When you see the male skeleton next to the female skeleton, those are very different. Those are a range. So, everything else, most people are usually in the middle of
Here's the kicker. So you're a biological male. No matter how much surgery or hormones you take, you'll never be able to give birth.
Yeah, so, I'm okay with that.
Right, but so then what point is womanhood achieved then? At what point do you become a woman?
I feel pretty. Yeah.
So
I can look at myself and not want to kill myself, so...
Well, hold on. So now we're getting to something. Maybe, is it possible that you might have other underlying mental health issues that you are then ascribing as transgenderism that you might not be treating?
No. I am being treated for other mental illnesses,
right,
but it is unrelated.
Are they unrelated, or is transgenderism a symptom of other underlying issues that I hope you get treatment for, such as depression, schizophrenia, anxiety, bipolar tendencies?
No, don't have any of those, actually.
You don't have any? You mentioned you have other potential issues.
No, I don't have any potential issues.
No, you don't?
No, I'm just cool.
Oh, you're just cool. Got it. So... Let me ask one other final question. Do you think it's okay for a 14-year-old to be able to get gender-affirming care?
A 14-year-old can get hormone blockers. That is the extent of what a 14-year-old can get, and that is completely irreversible. So, you can get hormone blockers.
You mean reversible, but it's not reversible. But first of all, no, it's not reversible.
When you stop taking hormone blockers, then your natural hormones come.
Puberty is not an assembly line where you just press a button and it stops. Secondly, that we are cutting breasts off of kids here in the state of Texas illegally.
That is not true.
Yes, a whistleblower, Dr. Ethan Heim, came out in Houston. Dr. Ethan Heim, and said that we are cutting the breasts off of kids irreversibly in Houston, Texas. Also happens in LA, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland. So it does happen. Do you think it should be illegal to say that kids should not be able to irreversibly damage themselves?
Well, even so, let's say a bunch of kids are getting gender-affirming.
Thousands of kids every month.
Let's say. All right. That is a decision between the child, the parent, and the doctor. That has nothing to do with you. Why do you have a say in that?
So should kids be able to get tattoos?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Should kids be able to own AR-15s?
No.
Why?
Because that is harmful. It can be
so AR-15s are harmful, but cutting off your breasts or potentially castrating yourself, gender-affirming care.
I mean, given that you're under anesthesia.
Do you understand the medieval horror that you're advocating for? Where we say, no.
Yes.
So a 15-year-old, puberty is not the problem. Puberty is the solution to the trans issue. Where that almost every young lady or young man will have some sort of anxiety of how they feel at age 12, 13, 14, 15. Maybe instead of telling them that they might be somebody in another body, we should allow them to continue to grow and develop into the body that God made them in, and say that puberty will actually solve the problem. And I want to just close by this. I have a lot of compassion for you because you're going down a journey where you'll never actually hit your destination. Because
I'm right there. I'm at my destination.
You're at your destination?
Yes. I feel great.
Okay, again,
that's literally all it is.
The studies show that over a period of time, you're going to keep on searching for more surgical interventions and more drugs. Where my hope for you is I wish that you would live in the body that God gave you, not trying to declare war on the body that God gave you. And that's my hope for you. Because I think you will be a happier person instead of nuking your body with artificial hormones, pretending to be somebody that you're not.
I will say one more thing and I'll go. I don't believe that God makes mistakes. God created me as a male, and I want to be a woman. That is the same way that God created grapes but not wine. It is so that humanity can take part in the witness of creation, of transformation.
We're not called to transform our bodies. We're called to surrender to God and how God made us. But at what age did you think you were a woman?
16.
Okay, is there any part of you that said maybe 16-year-olds make bad decisions?
I mean, partially, yes.
Have you ever second-guessed your decision?
At first, sure. But after a year, no. Not.
Oh, you've only been doing this a year?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying a year around 17, I never second-guessed.
I'm going to pray for you because you're on a destructive journey, and it's not going to end well. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Democrats want you to forget all about the shutdown shellacking, so they're launching a smear campaign disguised as a bombshell, the Jeffrey Epstein emails. Congress is dumping thousands of documents, and Democrats are using them to frame Trump. But we've been combing through them and can't find anything nailing Trump. Even Axios says the emails contained no real smoking gun. The files do show Epstein's deep ties to liberals, like anti-Trump author Michael Wolff. He colluded with Epstein on how to blackmail Trump. Wolff told Epstein in 2015, if you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. Why is Wolff giving a pedophile PR advice and coaching him to take down the president? That wasn't the only writer Epstein colluded with. A New York Times reporter gave Epstein a heads up that a former cop was investigating him for a book. That reporter was pushed out of the company after they found he asked Epstein for a $30,000 donation. Larry Summers, who worked for Bill Clinton and Obama, was also pen pals with Epstein. He was asking him for tips on women. Who goes to Jeffrey Epstein for dating advice? Epstein didn't just have ties to the Democrats and the media. He had foreign connections. Before Trump met Putin in 2018, Epstein was pitching himself to the Kremlin, saying he could give Russia insight on Trump, which is weird because if the Kremlin was controlling Trump like the Democrats accused him, why did they need insight? He wasn't just any old rich American. He was well connected to top players all over the world, from Israel to Saudi Arabia. And it wasn't a secret. Epstein went to Clinton's White House 17 times. And Slick Willie was a frequent flyer on the so-called Lolita Express. Clinton and Epstein seemed like pals. But when it comes to Trump, Jeffrey had TDS. I have met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump. Not one decent cell in his body. Trump should wear that like a badge of honor. The slimiest guy in the world hating you is a good thing. Epstein even admitted Trump, quote, never got a massage. The same author Epstein colluded with even said this.
Epstein believed that it was Trump who first informed the police about what was going on at Epstein's house. And from that point on, they were nothing but bitter enemies.
So Trump dropped a dime on Epstein, but Democrats say they're best buds? And that Biden and Obama's DOJ had proof Trump was compromised, but waited 3 elections to keep it a secret? They arrested Trump over bookkeeping and want us to believe they had real dirt and didn't use it.
The Epstein files were in existence and free to have been opened during the Biden administration. You were there for 4 years. How come you didn't open it as a Democratic Party then? What am I missing?
Ghislaine Maxwell said Trump did nothing wrong. So have Epstein's victims and Epstein's lawyer. And none of these emails implicate Trump, so we're back to square one. Congress is playing games, holding fake votes to drop more files. But that's not going to happen because it's up to a judge, and they won't release grand jury testimony. This is now looking more and more like a ploy to divide Republicans and smear the president. For a party that claims to care about affordability, they sure waste a lot of time on old emails. Primetime wants to get to the bottom of the Epstein saga more than anybody. We've been covering the story for years. But the story isn't about Trump. It's about foreign intelligence, blackmail, and cover-ups. Christopher Rufo is a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute and host of the Rufo and Lomez podcast. All right, Chris, what does your gut tell you about what's going on here?
Look, I mean, Jeffrey Epstein is an increasingly and enormously powerful man, even in death. He is like a human hand grenade, and both sides, both camps, keep trying to toss him onto the other side and hoping that it explodes. But again and again, the evidence suggests that while Trump did know Epstein, he did party with Epstein on occasion, he wasn't involved in any of Epstein's crimes. And in fact, when he figured out what was going on, he banned Epstein from his Mar-a-Lago club and resort. And so the president, I think, had successfully established boundaries, and the Dems are just trying to agitate against him and trying to use whatever bits and pieces from these documents to get the president. But look, the president has been through a lot. He's been indicted. He's been arrested. He's been mugshotted. He's been shot through the ear. A couple of misrepresented snippets from these emails is not going to result in much.
How do you think the Republican Party is handling the Epstein situation?
I think the Republican Party, in part, has taken the bait, and there's this scrambling about the various bills and the court hearings. It's so convoluted, it's given the Democrats an opportunity to demagogue against it. But I think overall, the best policy is one of transparency. The more documents can be revealed, the maximum amount the courts can let loose to the public, I think that's better. And I think the evidence should, wherever it falls, it falls. The evidence thus far suggests that Trump had no involvement in the Epstein crimes. But I think certainly some very powerful people from all political persuasions and business and politics and academia and science are trying to keep these documents out of the public eye because, look, some very powerful and very well-known people were doing some very naughty things.
Yep, that's what it appears to be, too. All right, Chris, great work. Thank you so much.
While all eyes were focused on New York and Mamdani, 42 Muslim candidates backed by terror-linked network have seized key offices across America, proving that the Muslim Brotherhood plan to infiltrate and destroy America from within is now a reality. 76 Muslims ran for office nationwide, 42 won, 3 races still pending. The 42 Muslim officials now occupy positions in some of the most influential jurisdictions in the country, from New York's mayor office to Virginia's executive branch, from Michigan's heartland to local school boards. The newly elected officials span at least 9 states: New York, Virginia, Michigan, New Jersey, Maryland, Washington, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. The list includes 6 mayors, 4 state legislatures, 20 city councils and commissioners, 6 school board members, 2 judges, and 3 other political positions. You've seen me talking about the Muslim Brotherhood plan for America and holding this document in my hand. They told us the plan, now we're watching it unfold in real time. This plan was written in 1991. We are 34 years into it. And as a refresher, here's a paragraph titled, Understanding the Role of the Muslim Brother in North America. Quote, the process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process. The brothers must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands. The last page lists 29 front Islamic organizations in the U.S., including the Muslim Student Association, which Mamdani was a member of, and IAP, which later became CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations. These Islamic organizations are celebrating a stunning milestone, the most significant wave of Muslim political victories in American history, with 42 Muslims elected to office across the United States. You would be excited too to add 42 Ilhan Omars and Rashida Tlaib's Jew-hating, America-hating people to public office. CARE, the unindicted co-conspirator in the largest terrorism financing trial in American history, is bragging about their successful political activism. CARE's federal super PAC, the Unity and Justice Fund, is the weaponized financial engine funding and winning U.S. elections. CARE is mobilizing Muslims and mosques as political launchpads to build campaign infrastructure. The result is a political machine operating from the pulpit to the ballot box. The 2025 elections shattered every record for Muslim representation in American politics, marking a historic leap into municipal and state power. CARE and its affiliates are preparing a 2026 directory of elected Muslim officials and expanding programs to mobilize more candidates before the 2026 midterms. The media calls this a historic first. Terror-linked CARE calls this phase 1. And what is even more scary, they locked shields with the left, whom I call useful idiots, working together to destroy America and everything you and I stand for. This is why you need to be engaged now. We need you in this fight, especially as the anti-Semites and anti-America unite. Join me and actforamerica.org as we mobilize the nation. We need to fight to preserve America's values and freedom. Start a chapter, become a member, volunteer. We are organizing neighborhoods nationwide, bringing people together who are as concerned about the transformation of our country as we are. Time to commit that America will not be destroyed under our watch. If you don't have time to start a chapter or volunteer, donate $26 to our 2026 campaign, and we'll send you a copy of the Muslim Brotherhood Plan. Become a partner and help us fight 24/7 to save our country. Share this video. Go to actforamerica.org right now. Join us and donate. Together, we save America. Thank you.
Maybe I read the wrong dictionary, but I thought that a liberal was a man who would listen to everybody's point of view and then make up his mind what he was going to do. I made up my mind pretty fast, but I don't know of any of these so-called liberals that listen to anything but their own mouth. Pardon my English.
The Emir of Qatar, he was also the one who decapitated Daniel Pearl, the Wall Street Journal. Obviously, everybody was horrified by it. He said, will you convert to Islam? Pearl said no, and he said, I'm giving you one more chance. He said, no, I'm Jewish, and he cut his head off. This is a big problem. That's our new best friend. That's one of the great leaders of the Middle East and the world, we've been told. I say no. Qatar is a very dangerous country. They've gotten into the West, not just one party, both parties, all parties, every aspect of our culture, our educational system. It's spreading. Very, very dangerous country. And they are behind the Muslim Brotherhood, Islamic Jihad, Hamas. They supported the Taliban, and they support the destruction of our universities and colleges.
Wait until you guys hear who owns the textbooks that we studied from in school. This is absolutely shocking. If every parent and teacher and principal knew this, they would be scratching their heads going, oh, the whole system is more rotten than people even know. Check this out. So here's McGraw-Hill. We all looked at all these freaking books, dry and boring, but they're owned by something called Pergamon Press. Pergamon, think of that. In the book of Revelation, Pergamon is named as Satan's throne, or specifically, because of this city's intense pagan activity, it was seen as by Christians as a place of intense spiritual opposition where Satan has his throne. But I didn't tell you who named this company yet. Pergamon Press, founded by Robert Maxwell. Do you know who Robert Maxwell is? That is Ghislaine Maxwell's dad. So Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, who was a spy, named his empire Pergamon Press. Pergamon Press prints scientific books and medical journals, and it's named as Satan's throne, Pergamon. The altar of Pergamon is where human sacrifices would take place for many gods, including Zeus and Baal. Why would you name your press company Satan's throne? And why would a spy controlling America's largest scholastic textbook company, scientific books, and medical journals, name Pergamon after Satan's throne? This is absolutely shocking. And this is where millions of children go to school and read books printed from this company. Does that sound like a coincidence, or do you think something else is going on here?
Hello, good morning. Canadian, living in the US. Been here about a year and a half. I have my own little mission on the go where I try to understand the people that hate your current administration the very most. And one of the things that I've learned about these people is that we feel like universal healthcare is going to save all of the problems that are going on with the healthcare in this country. Now, I come from a country that has universal healthcare, had it for 32 years, okay? So please allow me to provide you with some facts. There will be long waits and doctor shortages. A quarter of Canadians don't even have a family doctor and or access to one. If you're lucky enough to get a doctor, I sure hope that you like them because you don't have a choice. Now, big misconception here is that it's free, okay? Universal healthcare is not free. You will be taxed nearly half of your income whether you use it or not. A lot of Americans don't realize how heavily Canadians are taxed just to sustain the system. You will be taxed on income, fuel, goods, property, and even carbon. One of the best parts about universal healthcare is that it doesn't cover everything. 70% of Canadians actually have to get private insurance on top of universal healthcare to cover all of the extras. The extras would be vision, dental, prescriptions, massage, physio, etc., etc. The list goes on. With universal healthcare, there will be budget restraints. So what does that mean? It means fewer machines. It means less access to some of the new advancements in technology with medicine. There will be less access to new drugs and new therapies, and they are slower to adopt the new medical technologies that come out. Healthcare workers are actually paid a lot less in Canada. So what happens? A lot of them are actually moving their practices stateside. Do you need a specialist? 6 months to a year, easy. But don't worry, if you are too old or too sick to be fixed, they will offer you MAID, M-A-I-D, medically assisted death. Over 15,000 people chose medically assisted death in 2023. And by 2027, you will be able to get MAID if you are mentally ill. If that's not a scary thought, I don't know what is. 1 in 3 Canadians with anxiety, depression, or addiction do not have access to the help that they need. You want to talk about hospitals running at over 100% capacity? 15% of ER visits should have been visits to the family physician. Now, reminder, Canada has about the same population as the state of California, okay? So scaling universal healthcare from about 40 million people to 340 million people, it's not the same as managing 40 million people, especially with how unhealthy the United States is. Thousands of Canadians die every single year while they're waiting on a wait list and waiting to get treatment. 1 in 4 cancers are only found after a trip to the emergency room in Canada. If you don't believe me, talk to a veteran. Ask them about the VA. I've heard some absolute nightmares. And if that doesn't work for you, then head on down to your local DMV to see how it is when a government runs something. So yeah, free healthcare sounds great, but it also sounds fatal. Universal healthcare isn't free if you lose your life before you get treated.
So our work is not done. We must show up. Stronger than we did the first October 7th. Louder than we did the first October 7th. Make it clear that we are not going anywhere. We will keep fighting until Palestine is free. From the river to the sea. Within our lifetime. Make some noise.
Zoran Mondani is without a doubt the biggest win for socialism in the history of the country, and it is the biggest loss for the American people. He is truly a committed Marxist. And the results of that race tell you everything you need to know about where the Democrats and their party are headed. From the backbench to their leadership, Democrats have fallen in line behind the socialist candidates. Hakeem Jeffries, as you know, is the highest-ranking Democrat in the House. He gave his full blessing to Mondani and his socialist agenda. Chuck Schumer, the highest-ranking Democrat in the Senate and the highest-ranking Jewish leader in America flirted with endorsing Mamdani all the way to the bitter end. Never mind the fact that Zoran has embraced anti-Semitic rhetoric and promised to arrest the Prime Minister of Israel if he visits New York City again. And then there's President Obama, who called Mamdani over the weekend to extend his praise and act as a sounding board for the young socialist. You can't make this stuff up. The man who made healthcare unaffordable with his own socialist scheme is advising the man whose false promises will surely make life unlivable for millions of New Yorkers who cannot afford to flee the city.
Working again. Thank you.
It was Donald Trump who first reported him to the police, which ultimately led to his arrest in 2006 and his criminal conviction in 2008. Have you heard that on the mainstream media? Yeah, I didn't think so. But you know what? We've actually got yet another key figure who further backs up President Trump's innocence, and this one's going to absolutely blow your mind. Ladies and gentlemen, this is attorney Bradley Edwards, who back in 2008 represented over 70 of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. So you know what? Now take a listen to what attorney Bradley Edwards had to say about President Trump's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Let it play.
The only thing that I can say about President Trump is that he is the only person who in 2009, when I served a lot of subpoenas on a lot of people, or at least gave notice to some pretty connected people that I wanted to talk to them, he is the only person who picked up the phone and said, let's just talk, I'll give you as much time as you want, I'll tell you what you need to know, and was very helpful in the information that he gave, and gave no indication whatsoever that he was involved in anything untoward whatsoever, but had good information that checked out and that helped us, and that we didn't have to take a deposition of him.
That was in 2009?
That was in 2009. So,
do you know if there's any truth to James Patterson's claims that Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago?
I've definitely heard that.
Yeah.
And so, folks, there you have it. Have you heard that on the mainstream media? Once again, yeah, I don't think so. As it would turn out, Donald Trump not only tipped off the police about Jeffrey Epstein's criminal behavior in 2004, he banned him from all of his properties like Mar-a-Lago in 2005, and then in 2009, Trump worked as a confidential informant on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. Folks, at this point, we not only have an absolutely overwhelming amount of evidence proving not only that President Trump wasn't criminally involved with Jeffrey Epstein, but also, in fact, that he actually worked with law enforcement to help shut down Jeffrey Epstein's entire criminal enterprise. And so I'll tell you what, while the Democrats are busy attempting to politicize the entire Epstein situation, lying about all of the details every step of the way, in an effort to defame President Trump, we all know what the reality is. The Democrats are only pretending to care about this entire situation in an effort to destroy President Trump. Just like everything else they do, they've got absolutely no substance. Everything they do is purely performative. It's all just a bunch of ridiculous virtue signaling, but unfortunately for them, all of us see right through their entire agenda. And the truth is, all these email leaks really expose is this. Epstein hated Trump. Epstein didn't trust Trump. They weren't friends at all whatsoever. And that the Democrats actually tried to manipulate the entire narrative to lie to the public and to destroy President Trump's credibility. So hey, like I said earlier, here's my message to the DNC, to the Democratic National Committee. Get ready to break out that checkbook because we are done tolerating all of the lies.
We will not fund terrorism. We will not fund corruption. We will not fund anti-Semitism, and we will not fund anti-Americanism. The United Nations will hear loudly and clearly that President Trump's America First, Peace Through Strength agenda and record of results is back, and it is here to stay.
I think I finally figured out our government. I think I've got this figured out. We supposedly elect a president that can hold 2 terms That's a total of 8 years. Okay? We've got Congress that have been in office for decades. But anything that goes wrong in this nation, we blame it on the guy who only had 8 years. Some only have 4. And we just pretend that Congress had absolutely nothing to do with anything that was going on in our economy. Why do we always blame the guy that has only been there for 4 to 8 years instead of the people who have been petrified in their congressional seats? These people are the ones running this nation, make no mistake about it. It has nothing to do with the president. The only reason they're fighting Donald Trump is because he's the only one that has stood up and tried to fight for we the people. They have no intentions of letting their cash cows free. Who are the cash cows? That would be us.
Comey, Clapper, Brennan, Obama, Monaco, all conspired together, all worked together to try to sabotage, undermine, unravel the democratic institutions and structures of this country. The Russiagate hoax, the Russiagate conspiracy, and all of the assaults against our liberties that went with it, the pre-dawn raids, the handcuffing of innocent Americans, the espionage against President Trump's campaign and staff, the removal of his national security advisor, one fake indictment, one fake charge after another, the special counsel, all of it was a unrelenting attempt to overthrow the government the American people voted for. I cannot find words harsh enough to condemn the conduct of these conspirators, these insurrectionists.
You work for me. I don't work for you. You have a duty. We are entrusting our children to you. We teach our children morals, values when they grow up to commit crimes and end up in prison and kill a police officer. It's our fault? No, it's your fault. You're emotionally abusing our children and mentally abusing them. You're demoralizing them by teaching them communist values. This is still America, ma'am. And as long as I'm standing here on this good ground earth of God, I will fight. And this is not the last of me you will see. I'm retired. I have nothing else better to do. We can do it peacefully, or we can take it to the highest courts, because you know and I know I'm not the only parent fighting this all across America right now. Schools are trying to poison our children's minds, teaching them about things that they have no right to be taught in school.
So normally, I'm just going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to just give you just a feedback for a moment. I have no problem having a peaceful discussion. This is not a peaceful discussion.
No, that's your opinion. See, here we go again. This is peaceful. To me, this is peaceful.
Well,
I'm not burning, looting, and murdering. This is peaceful.
No, I did not accuse you of that, but I don't have a problem having a conversation with you, a peaceful conversation, which is, this is not.
$6.95 per child in the middle school to buy a curriculum from readtome.org that wasn't even approved by the Board of Ed. The administrators took it upon themselves to buy these books with taxpayer dollars while COVID is going on. How many families are struggling to pay their mortgages? Listen, by all means, you want to teach kids these things, fine. Don't do it on my dollar. Don't infringe on my religious beliefs. Don't infringe. Do you know who makes up the majority of this district? Children from police officers' families. Blues. Back the blue children. Do you know what these children feel like when they come home? Have you spoken to them? No. You're silencing them. This whole cancel culture. You're silencing the children. Where are their rights? They have no rights. Because if they don't believe in the indoctrination, the demonic, twisted, sneaky, vile acts and education, if you call it that you're teaching our children, they don't agree with that. They're either homophobic, they're part of a cult, they're racist. What's racist? Who defines racist? Why? Because do you know what race I am? Do you? You don't. You don't even have an idea. I could be black, I could be white, I could be Asian, you don't know. Who are you to determine that? Who is anyone to determine that? You know what? Children in the school system, children like other children, they don't look at color. Black and white children, Hispanic children, you know why they get along? Because they don't look at each other's color. So you're the racist.
This is the kind of active parenting that we need now after having found out that all of our kids, not all of them, but a big substantial portion of our kids' teachers are woke activists that have a political agenda. They're not just there for the betterment of our kids and to educate them and to prepare them for the world. They're there to make sure that they have the mindset, the worldview that they want, the ultra far left worldview, and basically to kind of tear them away from the family, the nuclear family unit, to get them thinking about gender a certain way, race a certain way, to get them to hate America, more or less, and really plant some radical ideas in their minds. And it's very tragic that we have to worry about this, because there are so many good teachers, but there's also so many teachers that are left-wing activists that get into that profession specifically to have that sort of impact on the young generations coming up, to mold their minds, so to say, and to get them to see the world how they do. I don't want conservative or right-wing indoctrination in schools either. I think education should be pretty politically unbiased. Tell the kids the facts about history, give them a very straight to the point education that's useful and functional, and that doesn't tilt them one way or the other on the political spectrum. Let them make up their own minds or decide their own values after they've learned what they need to learn through their education. Now, that's a lot to ask for when it comes to college too. This is sub-college. I believe this is a high school, but college professors are notorious for being left-wing activists. It's almost a prerequisite. If you look up the proportion of registered Democrats to registered Republicans among college professors, it's over 95% are registered Democrats. And it's not surprising to me, but it is kind of striking, if maybe you've never heard that before, that there's that much of a tilt. Why are so many college professors, the people that are shaping American young minds, they are on the left? It takes active parenting. It takes parents learning who is actually teaching their kids. It takes kids being smart enough to critically think, to think for themselves, and to question their teachers respectfully, but question them and push back maybe against radical agendas, radical views in the classroom, and kind of show the teachers that they're not going to get away with bamboozling the kids in the class, and that there are some kids that are smart enough to push back, and they know the other side. They know arguments that contradict or that destroy left-wing arguments, and they are smart enough to pick them apart. So anyway, let me know what you guys thought of this mom's speech here. I thought she did an amazing job. I know that my mom would have done the same thing in that situation. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate it here at the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.
U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean. We have learned that the largest, most lethal aircraft carrier is now near Latin America, the USS Ford. Tonight, Venezuela now responding. So what is the U.S. planning? Let's get right to Martha Raddatz. Martha, what do we know tonight?
Well, David, it is the largest, deadliest aircraft carrier in the world and brings the number of U.S. forces in the waters near Latin America to 15,000. The U.S. has already carried out attacks on nearly 20 suspected drug boats, leaving more than 75 people dead. The question now is, will the carrier, which is packed with F-18 fighter jets, strike within Venezuela, or is this just a show of force? Either way, tonight, Venezuela has ordered a nationwide mobilization of 200,000 troops and is ordering the troops to plan guerrilla-style attacks. David?
Martha Raddatz with late reporting. Thank you, Martha.
This is the scariest sound you will hear when you live in a communist country. This is the last sound my parents heard when their fathers were taken away in the middle of the night, and they never saw their loved ones again. That's the sound of losing your freedom, the sound of always living in fear. That's my family's real life story. We escaped from Vietnam just days before Saigon fell to the communists. We were given a new life in the most generous country on earth. America saved my life. I graduated from the United States Naval Academy. I earned a master's in physics and fellowships at MIT and Harvard before the left replaced merit with racial quotas. I spent my life trying to repay my debt to America, my country, our country, with 25 years of service in Navy Special Operations, combat in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Somalia. But now our country has taken a dark turn. That's Joe Biden's Justice Department sending 24 armed agents to arrest a pro-life activist in front of his family. That's Joe Biden's IRS raiding a gun shop and seizing thousands of records from law-abiding gun owners. Our names, our addresses, our social security numbers. That's Joe Biden arresting his challenger in the next election, a former president of the United States. And now a different sound. That's the sound of someone breaking into your home or business. The sound of crime destroying our cities and communities. That's how it all starts. They let criminals back on our streets. Millions of illegal immigrants pour across our border each year, including military-aged men from all over the world. And enough fentanyl to kill every man, woman, and child in this country. And the Biden family? Well, that's how it works in a dictatorship. The rules don't apply to the rulers. We are losing our country. You know it, but you also know you can't say it. We're forced to say that wrong is right. We're forced to lie. We can't let that happen. I've been all over the world. Believe me when I tell you, if America fails, there's nowhere else to go.
Previous caller mentioned something very important that you guys completely brushed over, and that's something that was slipped into the 2012 NDAA. It was the rescinding of the Smith-Mundt Act. And what this has done is open the floodgates for the media to basically lie to us if it's in the best interest of the government. So what we're witnessing here is the deep state aligned with media, and they have a free pass. We're a lot of questionable things happening in this country. We got mass shootings. I'm sorry to say these things are questionable. And under this law, the rescinding of the Smith-Mundt Act, in reality, the government could be working with media to deceive us, and it's legal. Talk about the rescinding of the Smith-Mundt Act, please.
Dan, we'll let you go there. Dan in Massachusetts. Eleanor Clift, any thoughts on what you're...
I think that sounds to be like a conspiracy theory that's alive and well. I'm not going to comment on it.
Cheryl Chumlin?
I'm not familiar with that particular act, but I will say that back in the 1950s, there was that whole Operation Mockingbird thing, which was never formally confirmed by the CIA, but of course that was the operation where CIA operatives worked with U.S. media to shape the messages that came out of the media, and it was purportedly supposed to have hit at hundreds of journalists and reporters. And that's something that has been reported and used in different terms.
What was the message that they were trying to get across in this?
It varied. It went on for years, right. And it wasn't just domestic, but it was also to slant and shape how government officials worked with foreign officials as well. But don't take my word for it. Look it up.
Well, we have aspects of the government, the USIA and Voice of America, that transmit American values abroad.
I only bring it up because you say conspiracy theorist as if it's ridiculous, but at the same time,
he was tying mass shootings with the media and government interference to fool the American people.
Right. We're dismissing
like a lot
theories
of connecting
conspiracy theories as if they're ridiculous, but there are some things that our government has been involved in, including our deep state type government officials that have been recorded in history and proven.
Well, we have a moment or two. Let's get
and therefore that gives credence to what you said.
Let's wrap up with a call or two here.
It doesn't give credence, but
Eddie in Millbury, Massachusetts.
Just randomly dismissed.
Let's get one more. Eddie.
I have never seen a press conference like this. Stephen Miller forced every single liberal media journalist to be quiet when he brought the facts about how Biden actually gave leeway to violent illegal criminals that ended up kidnapping and murdering an American citizen, little girl. Please watch this. Every single American needs to see this.
A sad reflection on the state of our media and many of the outlets represented in this room, that you obsessively try to shill for this MS-13 terrorist, well, no coverage occurred in your papers about any of the Americans that were raped and tortured and murdered by the illegals that Biden was importing into our country. You know, you talk about due process. The Biden administration made the decision to give extensive due process to 2 trained Nicaragua terrorists that were apprehended at the border just a couple years ago. They were 2 gentlemen. They were from Venezuela. They were members of Trained Nicaragua. The Biden administration Border Patrol apprehended them and made the decision to provide them with extensive due process, put them onto a program known as supervised release, and put them on ankle monitors so that they could go through a lengthy legal judicial determination as to whether these legal aliens who had just set foot on U.S. soil might want to live in the United States for the rest of their lives. What was the result of that decision? What was the result of that choice that was made? Those 2 men kidnapped a young girl named Jocelyn Ungary from her family. They beat her, they sexually assaulted her, they tortured her, they stripped her, they murdered her, and they dumped her body. That is what the Biden administration's policy was. Most of your papers never covered her story when it happened. To the extent that you covered it at all, it was because President Trump forced you to cover it by highlighting it repeatedly over and over again. He had to shame you into covering it. And each and every one of you that sides over and over again with these MS-13 terrorists, to the extent that you have the financial means to do so, you all choose to live in condos or homes or houses as far away from these kinds of gangbangers as you possibly can. If I offered any one of you a rent-free home with no taxes to pay in any of these gang neighborhoods, and I said your neighbors are MS-13 terrorists or Mexican mafia or Sinaloa cartel or Trained Nicaragua, I couldn't pay you to live there. But yet you, with your coverage, are trying to force innocent Americans to have these people as their neighbors, and that one day their daughter may be abducted from their home and raped and murdered. So you're not going to get an ounce of sympathy from this administration or President Trump for the terrorists who've invaded our homes and our country.
That was an absolute masterclass, and I need you to share this video with every single person you know, because people have the wrong idea of what is happening in the Trump administration. People are falsely thinking that Trump is just deporting American citizens or that he's deporting people just because of tattoos and without due process. That's not what is happening. He is deporting people who should have never been here in the first place, and especially he is getting rid of people who are violent criminals, who have no place in any society, let alone in our American streets. Please like this video and share it so it gets everywhere.
This video is for all you people out there who are talking about how the Republicans are keeping the government shut down. What foolery. You people are some of the dumbest people I've ever seen. Really, you guys are really stupid. If 53 Republicans are voting to keep the government open and 7 Democrats won't contribute to help keeping the government open, so wouldn't you think it's the ones who are not trying to vote to keep it open, shutting the government down?